And welcome to another episode of Even More Mashed Up, the podcast featuring two professors talking about all things pop culture. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Allan. It's actually the Pop Culture Podcast.
It is.
You're really not on your game
today.
Today.
That seems weird because then we're saying pop culture like right on top of each other twice.
I know. It's to emphasize it. It's a point of emphasis. It's rhetorical.
See, I thought I was supposed to say pop.
Strategy.
I thought I was supposed to say pop culture, but then it felt willed because I knew it was coming.
Yeah, no, I'd like to double up on the pop culture.
Okay, so let's try that again.
We double up on the pop
Welcome to another episode of Even More Mashed Up, the pop culture podcast featuring two professors talking about all things pop culture. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Allan. That's all really good, but very loud.
Sorry.
But Zach, please keep both of them because the first one is...
It's
really sent us down a rabbit hole.
Yes, it has.
It's not a good place to be in a rabbit hole, huh?
Yeah, unless you're a rabbit. It's pretty awesome if you're a rabbit.
But here's the thing. Rabbits, generally seen as adorable.
Yes.
Rabbit holes, people don't care for.
Well, it depends.
So you don't like a rabbit hole?
I mean...
Are you a rabbit hole guy?
I'm not sure what that means.
A big fan of rabbit holes.
I mean, again, keep in mind that when you're going down a rabbit hole, you're either going into a pile of dirt, or Alice in Wonderland.
So when you see a rabbit hole, what do you think?
I don't know that I've ever seen a rabbit hole.
Really?
Except in like Alice in Wonderland.
Didn't you grow up in Oregon?
Yeah.
Were there no rabbits?
Keep in mind that I lived in like an 80,000 person suburb.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that you lived. We talked about this last week. You lived like the elitist.
Well, that's how one of us talked about it last week. That's not how we talked about it last week.
Right. I'm sorry. I forget that my dad was the director of the IRS.
That's one of...
Oh, wait. That was your dad.
He was not the director of the IRS. He was branch chief or division chief in charge of collection.
Right. So you're pretty plugged in other words, with the deep state.
No.
If you've missed the news, the IRS is part of the deep state.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
They hired all those new agents. It's a deep statey kind of thing.
I guess. Okay.
You in the deep state.
I am part of the deep state.
So anyway, the rabbit hole for this week is Dungeons & Dragons.
Honor Among Thieves.
Honor Among Thieves.
Which it should be amongst, but, whatever.
I feel like it'd just be more Dungeons & Dragon-y if it was amongst. We'd give the right kind of vibe. So before we start on the movie, do you feel like a hero because you watched the movie? Can I say it is the most condescending and irritating thing. Before the movie comes on, the stars are sitting up there like a row of chairs, and they're like, "You're a hero because you came out to see it in a theater." And
unless you're Justice Smith, who literally says nothing during the entire thing, and just sits there on a stool while everyone else has multiple lines.
Do you appreciate that?
No.
Does it make you? Do you feel thanked or appreciated?
No.
Okay.
Because see, that's clearly not directed at the people in the theater. It's shaming the people not at the theater, but they're not there to see it. I know. That's why. Again, But also, did you have the weird dragon behind the screen thing?
Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure. I'm like, what is that dragon supposed to be? That doesn't work unless this is a 3D movie, and I'm not watching a 3D movie. No, also, that dragon it's not the dragon that appears in the film.
Yeah, it
was weird.
The whole opening I thought was a real downer.
Yeah.
As did Hugh Grant, by the way, who looked so incredibly insulted and disinterested in actually saying thank you to a person, which strikes me as kind of Hugh Grant.
Did you see him at the Oscars?
I did not.
Oh my! So he's being interviewed on the red carpet.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go ahead.
And he could not be more unengaged with, I forget the name of the woman who was interviewing him.
Yeah.
But he made a comment about it being Vanity Fair in a reference to the novel and being all glitz and glam. And she's like, "Oh yeah, Vanity Fair, the party that we all go to." And he literally just stares at her with death because she thought he meant the Vanity Fair party after the Oscars. I felt bad for her because I'm like, you're being kind of a jerk.
It sounds like pretty high level jerk behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, Hugh Grant kind of has a reputation for, as I understand.
I think one of the ways that his character works in the movie, we can talk about this later, is he kind of feels a little typecast.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, oh yeah, he feels authentically
typecast, or he's not really acting all that much.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that he's kind of been given that part where it's like, Hugh, would you mind just kind of
being you,
playing yourself?
Yeah.
Which is too bad because a character named Forge obviously brings back happy memories for me. X-Men.
Oh, from the X-Men. Okay.
Yeah.
You were a big Forge fan?
Who doesn't love Forge? He's a mutant inventor.
Most people don't like Forge.
Really?
He's not really one of your core X-Men.
No, it's true.
People keep trying to make Forge happen.
Right. No, that is true.
See what I did there?
Yeah, no, I do. I do.
On a couple levels.
So anyway, you didn't care for the opening as much as I did not care for the opening.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. That whole thing was so awkward.
So now I've not had time, but I've not seen anything on your social media. Did you see it a second time?
No.
You didn't.
No. See, we ran into a bit of a snafu yesterday because my original plan was to go see like a 3:00 showing, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I had made plans with Amanda to go to brunch at North Slope at 10:30.
Right.
And we were there for a good bunch of time, talking and whatnot. And then I look at my watch, and it's 3:30. And I'm like, oh, my God, I still have to go see a 2-hour
So you barely
movie.
squeezed this one
I
in.
did barely. I literally put my notes together last night between 8:30 and 9:30.
Which is late for you.
Yeah.
Like, we saw the 3:30 yesterday. And
Yeah, you guys left as my movie was beginning.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure
it was tight.
The good news is it's fresh in our minds.
It's very fresh.
Fresh.
Speaking of fresh,
Yes.
I've got some numbers.
Fresh cut grass?
No.
Oh.
No. So,
Yes.
as of last night on Rotten Tomatoes, I thought this would be a nice way to get into the film.
Okay.
It's currently at 90% with critics, 93 with audiences.
I would have guessed 94 and 94, so it would have been pretty close.
I thought, well, I would like to make some comparisons. What other films have a 90% critic score that this film is obviously being said is of the same quality?
Black Widow.
No. I did start with MCU, though. So
Ant-Man?
No.
Black Panther.
No.
Not the Wakanda?
No, that's higher. I went like what literally has 90. There's two
okay.
MCU movies that have 90.
Better than 90.
No, just 90.
Boy, that seems like a long list of guessing, right, Zach? I mean,
yeah. So I'm not going to make a guess. So
thank God.
So
yes,
Captain America: Civil War, 90% with audiences. Or sorry, with critics.
Okay.
89 with audiences. So lower than the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
So it's about the same. Let's say like there's enough margin for error to say they're the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Captain America: Winter Soldier, 90% with critics, 92 with audiences.
Yes.
So but do you feel, particularly thinking of Captain America: Winter Soldier, do you feel that this is a movie on par with Captain America?
No, they're not the same film. Those two Captain America movies, especially Winter Soldier, are better. But I have a lot of fondness for this movie in a way that I don't for more recent MCU stuff. And I think I have legitimate reasons for it.
I don't see how you could have legitimate reasons for that.
So you really hate it?
Remember when you said that we were going to do like good and bad?
Yeah.
I do have a good.
I only have one bad.
I have one good.
I have one bad.
My one good is that I went to a regular non-XD showing, so I paid no money for this movie. So you went
the Allan Austin argument of like, I don't want to spend money on something I don't care for.
Yeah, I just and also the timing. The XD one was at 4:20. There was no way I was going to make that, and the next one was at 7.
I was standing outside the XD theater, and I don't know why anybody would go to anything in XD.
Yeah, well, I bought my XD ticket for Guardians today because the Guardians tickets went on sale.
It's just too much. I don't think I can handle it emotionally or psychologically.
XD's not that big a deal.
Oh, it's so loud. It was so loud.
Yeah, okay,
but really crisp. So,
but yeah, no, I have to say. The more I thought about it, like I started off with my notes saying that it's a pretty generic by numbers fantasy adventure film.
I would say it's a fairly standard film,
and my thoughts went downhill from there.
The
more I thought about it, the more I'm like, this is not a good movie.
Common ground
at all.
Common ground. Mm-hmm. We both started at the idea that it was a pretty general kind of like action adventure.
Yes,
I do not think this movie was great in any way.
Yeah,
but it was substantially more interesting to me and more entertaining than Shazam. And then Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah, for me.
If I had to watch any of them again, and I'm not volunteering to do so, I want to be clear about that, I would pick this film easily. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I've got good reasons for it.
Okay.
I think I know why you hate it so much.
Why?
I think that you have D&D PTSD.
No.
I'm pretty sure you do.
No,
I'm sure there were a couple of scenes in this movie that really made you mad.
Such as?
That really kind of rankled you. So you don't think any of it served to rankle you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, well...
There were moments I thought of based on... I mean, there was the one moment where Simon the Sorcerer takes the 1 foot on the bridge and destroys the bridge.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of the time in the first D&D game where I climbed up the mountain and sent all the monsters after us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's me.
Well, yeah, that's just bad playing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, there are a couple of moments that I thought... So, I don't know if you know it or not, Zach, but we tried to do a D&D on the podcast, It will never be
deleted
heard
those from
again.
the server.
Like they are hidden and forever gone for a whole series of reasons that are very valid.
They're bad.
The game was fun. It was terrible podcasting.
The game was not fun because
The game was fun for everybody except for one person who was like, I'm going to be super serious about this.
Yes. The other thing that I thought of during the film.
You got to have a little fun in D&D. It's a chance to cut loose.
See, that's the part of you that's like 15% Chris Pine's character. And the other 85% of you is Forge, who decides to do what he wants to do and doesn't really care about the others around him.
Not true at all. Not true at all. I was a leader I was a leader of men.
Really? How were you leading when you knocked over all of the bookcases in the library we were supposed to be searching?
That was not my best moment. Mm-hmm. But what would
actually,
you do?
Zach, Alan,
you're in a library.
What's sad? Yeah. That is your best moment.
Yeah, you're in a library. You've got all these stacks. People have abandoned you. They all want to go do the serious work, and nobody will take you with them. So I'm like, I just wondered if I could push over a bookshelf, and I did, and knocked over the next one and the next one, and then all of a sudden the entire library. We were supposed to be in the library for like 5 minutes, and we ended up like spending, I don't know, 4 hours. It was bad. Yeah. So, but there is the scene where Pine's character is in a library surrounded by books and shelves, and I thought that would give you PTSD.
Oh, no, I didn't pick up on that.
Yep. Yeah. And then...
I mean, he didn't knock over the shelves, so it didn't really give me PTSD.
Well, but it was just enough to see the shelves. I think probably unconsciously.
It's interesting that you are claiming I'm the one that had PTSD, and yet you're the one that actually made that connection.
Oh no, I'm totally celebrating it. I'm doing it as a celebration. Mm-hmm. Clearly, they're doing homage. This is
clearly.
Secondly,
you're telling yourself you're celebrating it, but inside you're churning visibly.
The key role of the potato.
Why would that upset me?
Well, at one point in the adventure, Danny and I ended up at a fast food restaurant.
The French fry thing?
With the French fries.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So clearly, in both ways, you hear that, oh, Jesus, Zach, that's PTSD. Right? That is okay. That is the moment that reveals the PTSD.
I need to clarify.
Yeah.
The oh, Jesus was in the machinations you had to get to make that connection between the potato and the French fries. Was not...
So you think a potato... and a French fry are far removed from each other.
I think a potato and a French fry to what you did at the French fry shop.
Well, yeah, that's another step in the link.
Yeah, exactly. There are a number of steps that I'd like to point out you are the only person on Earth that made.
That's not true. Danny did it as well. And
how do you know Danny did that?
The restaurant ended up burned down.
Did Danny went to Dungeons and Dragons and thought, hey, that potato reminds me
if Danny saw it, he would 100% be potato, fry, frying oil, explosion.
Yeah.
It's an easy chain to put together.
No,
I have one more complaint. Like, this is my D&D PTSD.
Oh,
I've covered yours. I think I was playing a tiefling, but I couldn't change into any shape I wanted to be. I feel like I got robbed.
Were you a tiefling?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she's a tiefling druid. Maybe the shape-changing thing is more of being a druid.
Is the shape-shifting. It's
not. All right. Well, okay. Then I have no PTSD from the film, which I found to be a romp. A perfectly fine romp of a film.
I wanted it to
be.
No,
you didn't.
No, I did.
No, it's not a superhero.
It has nothing to do. I like other things besides superheroes.
Just dump it down the rabbit hole.
No, I did not.
Shove it up the hole.
I just, part of it as I found the first third of the film. Well, third might not be right. The first chunk of the film.
I swear to God, if you're going to complain about origin stories.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm going to complain about Michelle Rodriguez, who I just do not find as a very compelling actress.
I thought she was perfectly
fine.
Yeah.
No.
This was a movie of perfectly fine that added up to more than the sum of its parts.
She literally has... her character in Lost, taciturn badass. Her character in the Fast Five series, taciturn badass.
So Hollywood...
Her character in this series, taciturn badass. She plays the same thing. And so literally...
Hollywood has a problem with typecasting.
She just has...
I thought she played taciturn badass pretty well.
But that's all she ever plays. Like, she's so one-note.
Well, why does it make this movie bad?
Well, I don't like really anything that she does because she's
so you
very one-note.
You hate her.
I don't hate her. I just
it seems like you really kind of...
Her style of acting does not appeal to me. And, I mean, for me, the entire time when it's just her and Chris Pine, it's like Chris Pine just having to work his butt off to have... There was no chemistry between them.
I did not feel that at all. And I think it's just you hate Rodriguez.
I'm not a big fan of hers.
I guess we're not going to have her on the show.
I was hoping that this would be better,
but I thought she was good in this movie.
No.
I'd be happy to talk with her about it.
Yeah, I just not.
I don't think you hoped it was going to be better. You obviously came in with an anti-Rodriguez agenda.
No, I was hoping it was going to be different, but 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, it's the same thing she does every film.
Well, I didn't watch Lost because Lost was too smart and elitist for me.
You really should watch Lost.
I know. It's one of the things I should watch. Smoke Monster, Cave Bear, or whatever. I can't remember. Wasn't there a bear?
I think there was a bear. But I think the smoke monster was the bear.
Spoiler alert. There's a smoke monster.
Well, the show's like how many years old?
Sounds really scary. Ooh, like smoke monster.
So.
No, thank you. So anyway, I wanted to give Ed Sachinsky a shout out because I thought we'd get the bingo card rolling pretty quickly.
Okay.
Are you upset with how woke D&D was?
Was it woke?
Yeah.
How so?
There's the scene where, what's his name? Hugh Grant's character, Forge. Is like explaining like his plan and how it works. And what he says is that if you give people lots of freedom.
Oh, yeah, there's that moment.
That you can then take all of their money from them.
Yes.
That's a great woke criticism of capitalism. That offended you. You don't want.
No, I didn't.
You don't want
No.
Michelle Rodriguez in your films, and you don't want the system to be questioned. I got it.
No, it didn't offend me. It felt very. It didn't feel organic to the film.
No, it was kind of tacked in, but it.
Yes.
Yeah, right, but that's how wokeness often works.
Not always.
Sometimes, though.
Yeah, sometimes. Yes.
Okay, sometimes. So
not always.
So anti-woke, and you want to celebrate capitalism. Too much critique. I'm trying to understand why you hate the film.
It's a bad film.
Besides the fact that you have an agenda against Rodriguez.
Bad film.
It's not a bad film.
It's poorly written.
That's preposterous.
Okay.
Preposterous.
Let me point out one of the many problems with the writing.
Okay.
So when we get the flashback to Zaz Tam's like big evil plan.
Who's Zaz Tam?
That's the
demon behind, or like the wizard behind the scenes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
So we go to his plan.
Yes.
We see him, do the whole,
By the way, people listening to the podcast
descending
can't see
of
you
death,
shaking
whatever
your
it is.
hands about.
Whatever his spell is.
Explain what you're doing.
We are told.
Yes.
We are told that anyone who sees the spell dies. And
Are we told that?
Yes, that's what they say. They say,
I missed that,
when he says, anyone who sees the spell dies.
Okay.
And then, when we see all the people running away, we see the rest of the wizards there, like with a giant force shield.
So they should die because they've seen it?
Yes, they're all trapped. So explain to me how the paladin character that was there and saw the spell and was with the crowd running towards the force shield survived. There's no way he could live.
He's a paladin.
But what does that mean? What does that mean?
They have special skills.
Of
wriggling out of tight situations. I'm sure Zach will back me up.
Yeah, no, that was...
Like a paladin would find a way, right, Zach?
This is why we needed Rich on the show. He probably could explain. But I'm just like, this makes no sense.
A cleric, maybe...
Yeah, but I'm just like, there's no way. I'm like, he should be dead. He saw the spell, and he should be behind the force field with everyone else.
Here's what's wrong with you.
I want logical consistency in my movie.
Yes, this is a movie. I shouldn't put it in these terms because you're going to get really upset. You need to think of it in a Bay-style kind of film where you're supposed to let go of that stuff and immerse yourself in the vibe of the film. This is a film that you feel, not one that you reason.
You can't see me vomiting in my mouth right now.
That was a lot of silence, I'm just going to say.
Because I'm busy vomiting in my mouth.
Rarely do I say something that leads both of you to just look at me like, what the hell are you talking about?
That this is a film you feel, not reason.
Yeah. You can't reason with it. It's wizards and warlocks.
Of all the, I'll say crud, that you have said on this show, that might be... the worst thing you have ever said.
No, this is it's a movie that like you go and you just enjoy.
And
like you immerse yourself in a ridiculous.
But the horrible writing prevented me from doing that.
No, the writing releases you into it. To me, it mimics like any D&D game, where you have like a dungeon master. Mm-hmm. And like they got parts of the story they tell well, and some that like are a little contradictory, and it captures the vibe of the game.
I'm not about that.
Like the next thing I was going to say.
I kind of wish. Number one, I'll credit you that in that the narrative. The narrative of the film did feel at times like a campaign, and that they're literally going from like quest to quest, MacGuffin to MacGuffin to MacGuffin, and kind of seem to be making it up as it went along.
That was my next point. Was it felt to me like a Dungeons and Dragons game.
It did, but I wish
you could see the segments that you would play, and then you would leave, and you would come back and you do the next one.
They had steered into kind of that aspect of the film more, because that was one of the things is that like they go through and like the character types,
right?
Number one, none of them are thieves. Like they're all something else than thieves. So I don't really understand the honor among thieves.
You have got to be kidding.
But in terms of the character types, like what is Forge's character type?
Just look at Zach's face for a minute.
What is Forge's character type?
Just look at his face.
What is Forge's character type?
I don't know.
He's supposed to be a rogue, which they never mention in the film.
I don't care.
Like they're all supposed to be types.
I don't care. Are you telling me that you are going to say this film is terrible because it's called Honor Among Thieves, yet none of them are classed as a thief?
Yes. Yes, I am going to say that, because I just did.
That is a level
it really like there's no thieves.
Compulsive thinking.
None of them are thieves.
You're so upset.
I am. Really again the logic of this film. Like I said, as the more I got thinking about it,
logic in D&D.
Not even I'm just looking for something
you just
to
called
make
it logic.
Sense. Yeah, like I mean, again, the type of character you are is profoundly relevant to the game. The type of people these characters were made no difference.
We went on an adventure, and people with different character types did different things.
Yeah, it just made there was no difference.
So you see all thieves as the same.
As thieves, yes, I do see thieves as thieves.
Right, but they're all the same.
No, they're just all thieves. But
so
I found.
Can you be a paladin and a thief, or no?
No, you can't.
Why not? Because the rule book says you're one or the other.
Yeah, paladins are inherently good.
That has to do with alignment more than anything.
I was going to say alignment, chaotic good. Yeah, see, we don't need.
It's your character type, because you can be a paladin who's like, your alignment.
Zach is 100% right.
I know,
and I think you're using a baby voice. Is definitely revealing that Zach won that part of the argument.
I'll give him that.
Okay, all right. So,
excuse me, but your alignment is what matters.
You're doing the comic book boy, which is always like the comic book guy voice is a classic.
It is a classic. Excuse me, but that actually has more to do with alignment than with character class.
I believe the first time that you broke that out on the show was for Wolverine.
Yes. Excuse me. I believe Wolverine, without his healing powers, should have died from the adamantium poisoning. Yes. I hope somebody got fired because of that.
That was a legitimate point. The other thing I liked was I felt.
Excuse me. All of my points are legitimate.
In your mind. I like the way it leaned into without overdoing it, like the way the game works. Spells, weapons, character types, a hither-thither staff. Man, I'd like to have a hither-thither staff. It reminds me of the game Portal, which was a classic game.
Yeah.
Although I was going to ask you, but I won't now.
You can ask me.
To walk me through the heist scene where they put the treasure in instead of pulling it out of the carriage.
Well, they weren't.
There was a lot of hither-thither.
Well, they weren't trying to get the treasure. They were trying to get themselves in the thing.
Right. They
were trying to get the portal into the treasure.
So they were importing treasure into the carriage.
No, they were just putting the one picture into the carriage.
Right. That was the treasure.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure
that had
they
the
weren't
portal.
putting anything. When you say treasure, I think of more than just the one
that
picture.
Had the portal on it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that they could then get in.
Correct.
And do the heist. I love that they had all these ways to solve it and they all failed. But anyway, back to the point. It was very hard to follow the portals.
It was a little bit confusing in terms of it. It seemed like in watching, I'm like, there's an easier way to do it. Well, because the other thing
of it was they made it ridiculous.
I mean, the other thing too is that why didn't the tiefling character, once she got into the thing, why didn't she just turn into a fly and hang out on the treasure? And then get into the room where they wanted to go.
Well, that would have been an easier solution.
Yeah.
Have you ever played D&D?
I have.
The game functions best when you don't take the simple solutions. But you create huge, mousetrap solutions to small problems. That's when the game works.
That's not when the game functions best. That's when you think the game.
So that edge in your voice,
best.
Would you say it's just a little PTSD?
Well, no, because the TSD is happening right now, so it's not post. It's current. It's CTSD. It's current traumatic stress disorder. Because you're just being you.
There's something about you and Dungeons and Dragons that just doesn't fit. And you love games.
I do love games, but the role playing game is not.
Don't love Dungeons and Dragons, and I think you brought a little bias against the game and against Michelle Rodriguez into the studio today, which is okay. It's your bias. Own it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that the universe was pretty accessible?
No.
That you didn't have to know a lot to enjoy
You have to know everything. Oh my God.
I didn't know any of it. I enjoyed it entirely.
No, like literally, then there's that early scene where they find the piece of paper and Chris Pine's character says that, oh, Forge is Lord of Neverwinter. And I'm like, am I supposed to know what that is? Like, I don't know what that is.
You don't need to know what it is.
Yeah, you do, because everything they reference, this film was so full of Easter eggs, and you had to know the Easter eggs to understand the film.
Oh, I got to be honest. For a particular person on this podcast to be complaining about
Can I just point out,
and accessibility is the height of hypocrisy.
Listen.
Like, such hypocrisy.
I'm going to read a part of my notes here.
Kettle.
I might also be forced to admit that Allan has a point about how not knowing the various references might make a film full of them not really work for someone.
Touché, sir. Touché.
No.
This is literally like the snake swallowing its own tail. It's like
its own rabbit hole.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, no, like every time
one of us
there were
wins,
several moments like watching this film. I think I'm like, I now understand how Allan feels. Though I will say Marvel does a better job of it, but this movie, like so much of it,
they don't.
So much. I did a lot.
You're a nerd.
The explanation of Neverwinter, the explanation of Zaz Tam, like you mentioned, he shows up at this shadowy guy in the background, and he's like the real power behind what's going on, and never shows up in the film again.
He doesn't need to. It's about Sofina.
But he's supposed to be he's set up as the big secret bad guy.
She's obviously hijacking.
Is she?
Yeah.
I didn't think she was hijacking. I thought she was just doing his bidding.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't care.
Oh, but the writing in this movie's fine. I'm not sure who the big bad is.
Zach, did I say the writing was fine? Or did I say the writing doesn't matter?
Excuse me.
No, excuse me. I said that it was about the feeling.
Yeah, and the feeling is that this writing sucks in this film. It's not a
You missed the whole vibe.
No, I do not.
You don't like fun.
I do like fun.
You like fun on your own terms. You like
everyone likes fun on their own terms.
I think he likes the structure of.
Oh, somebody loves structure.
Zach, I'm just going to point out I'm uncomfortable with Allan psychoanalyzing me on this show. Let's not open that door to others.
You got it.
Just ignore that entire comment.
So but yeah, no, it's like I did understand.
To your point, I thought you could watch it and not know Nevermore or whatever.
But see, this is me. One of the things I really like
you're a world builder.
Exactly, and the world building. There's no world built if you don't know all the obscure references.
Here's the thing. One of the things I most loved about it was that I didn't have to build a world.
Yeah, see,
I didn't have to, and it was, and I don't say this to insult you. It was a relief to watch a film that I didn't have to come to this podcast and try to bluff my way through understanding the intricacies of the world. Like the Marvel universe, it's too dense for me.
We're not even talking about the intricacies. We're talking about like I have no idea where things are happening in relation to each other in this film.
So you want a map?
Yeah,
the movie.
I want a sense of where things happen in the world. Like they're going all over the place. I'm like, I have no idea where these things are.
Okay, so when
apparently you can be a paladin and a Thayan and I'm so confused.
Oh, you can take different levels and different.
I know, but they referred to people as Thayans and as other things, and then ultimately they're the same thing. The Red Wizards are also Thayans. I'm like, wait a minute.
Wouldn't you call yourself both an English professor and a member of the Lego VIP Club? You can be more than one thing in your life.
You can, but you have to Claire. Those things were not Claire in the film.
They don't have to be Claire in
the film. They have to be Claire.
They
have to be Claire in the film.
I also let Red Wizards go by.
Didn't even know I said that.
So, all right. So here's so while we're talking about MCU, here's why I think I liked it better than the recent MCU stuff, which I did. I would not say, I want to be clear, this is not a great film.
It's not even a good film.
But it's a perfectly fine film.
No.
It's better than Ant-Man.
No.
And it's better than Shazam.
I'll probably give you that.
And here's why. I think I liked it so much because it wasn't weighed down by so much backstory and so much world building, and it didn't have to carry so much. Every Marvel film is so freighted with what it has to carry. This is you were talking about standalone films, right? Mm-hmm. This one kind of works. For
me, it doesn't.
I was glad I didn't have to stay for a post-credit scene.
There was a post-credit scene.
I know, but it was going to make me go, "Oh my god!" It's Thanos, it's a stadium full of Kangs.
No, it wasn't that. Do you want to know what it is?
Well, I think I might have seen it, but I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
What was it?
It's the corpse that didn't get his last question.
Oh, that's like, but it was a post credit. It was just a joke.
Yeah,
right.
Mid-credits,
it's like not meant to carry anything.
Correct.
And I just felt, and I think I liked the film more than I should have in part.
Yeah,
because it felt liberating that I could sit down and watch something that wasn't a vehicle carrying something forward, especially like it's a huge problem for the second tier stuff in Marvel, and then the third tier Disney Plus. Thank you.
Third tier.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I wasn't speaking clearly. So
Third.
or the fourth tier ABC Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. Like I didn't have to worry about any of that. You know what I could do? I could go to the movie theater for a movie that, by the way, ran too long. We can talk about that. Like it was too long with too many twists at the end that weren't twists.
but the writing's fine.
You don't have any problem with that's what happens with Ant-Man.
Don't even get me started with the bad twist at the end.
If it's Ant-Man, you're like, well, that it's perfectly fine.
I was critical of Ant-Man.
The ending? Did you hear how high your voice went on that?
I was critical of Ant-Man.
Sounds a little defensive, but I liked it, and I hope. I would go see another D&D film, but I don't want them to build a universe.
Oh, they're totally going to build a universe.
Yeah, that I think I will increasingly lose interest in.
I totally understand that.
Your approach to movie watching.
I totally understand that. My problem with it, because I agree, I thought this was a great opportunity for a standalone film,
but
fun.
You feel like it didn't execute.
But the film did not do enough for me to make sense of the world that we were in, unless you know all of the Dungeons and Dragons lore behind a lot of the references.
Okay, I think that's a potato kind of situation.
I don't think it's a potato situation.
You think it's more of a French fry? Because they're not that far removed from each other. So, was that really Bradley Cooper in the film?
Yes, it was.
Such a weird...
That was such a waste of a scene. I don't even understand, the point of that scene. Talking about a movie that's too long. They could have taken that scene out.
They could have.
Been fine.
I don't disagree.
Except we needed to get the walking stick.
Well, and you want the backstory.
I didn't really...
Do you want Holgar? What's her name?
I think it's Holga.
I've got it.
That's a good question. It might be
Holga.
Yeah.
Holga Kilgore.
Yeah, that's right. It's Kilgore. That's
so you do, but like you said, you wanted the backstory and you wanted all the information and you
wanted
to flesh out these characters. No. Well, there we're learning all about Holga.
I have said nothing about fleshing out the characters. I said fleshing the world out.
Well, this is the world. It's like a world of tall women and short men.
Yeah.
Do you need to learn about that?
No, that was completely irrelevant.
So you must have liked that they brought in the 80s cartoon characters. No?
I wanted to.
That is the most Hamilton thing ever. It is literally the moment where I sat in the theater and I thought to myself, Patrick will at least like that.
I wanted to like it.
There's the 80s cartoon D&D guys right there.
I did want to. My problem with it...
Man, this movie had no chance with you. Let's be honest.
That's not true. No.
Kind of like, in all honesty, when I went to Ant-Man.
No.
Ant-Man didn't
I'm
have
a much more open-minded person than you. Generally speaking.
Would you say that's true?
Yes. Well, let's talk about the last 3 films we've seen.
Okay.
Out of them, how many of you have you not liked?
2.
Mm-hmm. How many have I liked?
2.
Mm-hmm. So I haven't liked one. So
you like more.
Yes, and I'm more
that's
open-minded
a very small
than you.
sample. Like, I just watched M.
Okay.
How open-minded are you? I thought it was great.
How open-minded are you to watching the 2nd season and 3rd season of Mandalorian?
That I've given up.
Seasons 8 and 9 of Flash.
Well, that's for the quiz.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm allowed to occasionally not like something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go into things with an agenda. I watched 7 seasons of The Flash, which, by the way, was 6.5 seasons
number
too
one,
many. 6.5 seasons too many on that show.
You clearly had an agenda.
Deny it.
I'm going to like this movie because that way I can make fun of the MCU.
I did not know that you were not going to like this movie.
Yep. No. You clearly.
I'm not making fun of the MCU.
I think you are.
I am lodging a legitimate critique of the MCU,
and I am lodging a legitimate critique of
it.
This
is so up
movie.
In its own business that it's really complicated.
No, that's
it's
fair.
a lot of work.
That's fair.
Whereas Chris Pine in this movie, this is like the perfect Chris Pine vehicle.
It is.
You say I don't like Chris Pine.
You don't like Chris Pine.
But I did not like him as Steve Trevor, and I realized why all the more.
You didn't really like him in Star Trek Beyond either.
That is not true.
I think that's
true. You conflate my dislike of the scene where he was on the motorcycle.
Yes.
And they turned it into like a projector machine that made it look like he was on 18 different motorcycles. Mm-hmm. That was a stupid scene. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean Chris Pine was bad in the movie.
You don't like Chris Pine.
It's you.
If this was an SAT exam, you to Chris Pine is like me to Michelle Rodriguez.
No, not true.
100%.
Not true. Yep. Zach and I last week We talked about Chris Pine, and we talked about Into the Woods, and we talked about how great the song Agony is.
That's because you like Into the Woods. That's not because you like Chris Pine.
I said Chris Pine was great in it.
That's because it's Into the Woods.
See, you have an excuse for everything.
I do, yes. This is what I do.
But they're not. Yeah, it is what you do. But I think the reason I was especially offended by him as Steve Trevor is because he does have a charm. Like when he's on screen, he's got like a kind of charm that
he's
should
very charming to Steve Trevor.
It should, and that's the problem. Steve Trevor should never be charming. Steve Trevor is the problem in Wonder Woman, not the solution. You like charming misogyny, is what I hear you saying.
Whoa, where did misogyny? Thank you, Zach.
Steve Trevor is the misogyny.
How is he the misogyny?
Because throughout most of Wonder Woman's career, she was the superhero and yet subordinated to him and always chasing after him and always pining after him.
You're complaining about what went on in the comic in the film, and the film doesn't do that.
It's canon. Right, isn't it all part of the same thing?
No, the films are different from the comics.
Right, so the problem is Steve Trevor you might want to pretend like you can just divorce him from the history of misogyny, but you can't. But it's okay. Like if charming misogyny,
sure,
I'm going to hold
a film made by completely different people to the standards of the stuff that was also made by completely different people decades before.
Right, because Steve Trevor doesn't have any cultural history that he brings to a film like this. You can just cut it off and start over again, right? I think that's what you argued in your book, All New, All Different. Like you can just cut off the racism of the past and start a new one, and it's no problem.
I don't know why you're saying it.
It's literally
my book.
It's literally.
I'm pretty sure it's Alan Austin and some colleague's book, as I've read recently.
But all I'm saying is, I feel as if our book argues something different, that these characters bring baggage with them, even if you don't want them to, and even if you see yourself as just rewriting them. So I think All New, All Different wins this argument.
Well, but in the comics,
You're not going to argue against our book.
I'm not arguing against our book. I'm arguing against your jaundiced version of our book. Which, by the way, people should go buy, available at bookstores and dealers everywhere.
Right, you shouldn't decide based on what we're saying.
Yeah, no.
Read the book and
decide which of us is
which
right.
one of us. But I think I was offended that he brought his charm to Steve Trevor, because Steve Trevor is a character that I do not
So
like.
what you're saying is
you
have STTSD. Steve Trevor Traumatic Stress Disorder.
Yes. Yeah.
You're bringing all of your...
Yeah, I will live with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
I can acknowledge who I am.
Excellent.
All right. I have a criticism.
Oh, okay.
The movie runs too long, and it doesn't end well. Like, the fight scene at the end is the same Marvel problem.
Well, the fight scene, it was entirely predictable, because I was like,
of course it was.
Because I was like, number one, the little girl's invisible pendant. The moment that showed up, I'm like, at the beginning, I'm like, well, that's going to be important.
I thought she was going to stab Sofina at the end. I didn't imagine the magical bracelet.
Here's what I thought. I mean, because the other thing I figured, I was like, okay, somebody's dying that he's going to use the resurrection thing on.
Right.
I thought it was going to be Sophia, because I thought she was going to try to stab her with the invisible pendant, and she was the Sofina was going to see through it.
Right.
And stab the daughter. But I was like, yeah, someone's dying.
Right.
And he's going to resurrect that person.
Clear.
So.
Right. And as soon as, there's the moment in the middle where they're like, you can't hunt things down. You need to let them go. Okay. Like, he's got to let his wife go. Like, yeah obviously. Like, but again, I don't know.
And that was
this film is not going to show up at the Oscars, right?
Correct. That was another moment. So,
I agree.
That was another moment of, the bad writing in the film was the recurring bit with the dragonfly.
Right.
Because there's obviously the scene of where, the flashback to his wife, they're trying to catch the dragonfly, and she tells him, you got to let go and let the dragonfly go out.
Yeah.
Totally understand, totally fine. Except for the fact that the dragonfly appears earlier than that, and there's like a long lingering shot on it. I'm like, well, clearly the dragonfly is important. I might like to know why we're spending so much time with it. And then we get that. It's almost as if like we can't do this scene too early, because then it makes all of the other dragonfly scenes very heavy-handed.
Right.
So we're going to do it in the middle, but still be heavy-handed. So now it's going to be heavy-handed and confuse our audience.
It sounds to me like you have an anti-dragonfly agenda.
No, I like dragonflies. I hate bad writing.
Wait, you like dragonflies?
Yeah. What's wrong with a dragonfly?
You like them?
They're pretty.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I appreciate them on an aesthetic level.
Okay. All right.
So,
fair enough.
But that was another moment of the bad. Also, you're telling me no one could recognize that Sofina was a red wizard with the same exact physical look as every other one because her robe is blue?
Yeah, the red wizards wear red. That's good writing. If she was wearing blue, you'd be like...
No, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
If she were a red, you'd be like, she's giving it away.
She looks like a walking corpse like all of the other red wizards.
Can I ask you a question? Why do they call them the Red Wizards?
Because
you want logical consistency.
I would... No, that's not even asking for logical consistency.
You're giving me a cramp. I'm laughing so hard.
That's just... Yeah, it's just... Oh, it's so bad.
You really hated this movie.
I did...
You know what? It's really interesting to be on this side of the conversation because with the MCU lately... I've been pretty unhappy, and you've loved it. So
okay, that is not fair. I have not loved it. We both shot down Wakanda Forever. We both shot down Love and Thunder.
Yeah, but you liked Ant-Man.
I did. I liked it on one level, but I also criticized its racism and colonialism.
Oh, good. Bingo card.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Representation.
Racism, colonialism.
Yes.
Woke.
Yeah.
Anti-capitalist. Yeah, I think we've done well today. Yeah, no, I don't mean that. Like, I'm overstating. But, like, generally you like the movie more and I like the movie less. It's fun liking a movie more.
Yeah. Well, that's because you...
Maybe I need to pick more movies that we talk about on the show.
Oh, God.
What?
That's just...
What would that be? Like,
you're going to make you go see the Beast Wars movie, aren't you? Where Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
It didn't look that good. Like, I saw the trailer.
I'm sorry.
There's a trailer?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That stopped you before with the Transformers movies?
Michael Bay has never made a Transformer. Not a single frame that doesn't look good. The guy's a genius with Transformers, not with anything else. I am not standing up for Michael Bay in terms of anything but Transformers.
Actually, it's almost the opposite of that. He's better with almost everything else but the Transformers franchise.
That is so wrong. I don't even know how to counter it.
Yeah, okay.
It's like up is down. Okay, yes. Patrick. You say so.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. It's just such a bad movie.
My stomach hurts.
So, yeah, but we're going to have to go see The Rise of the Beasts.
Wait a minute. New York Post. This is what the New York Post had to say about this terrible movie.
Okay.
Fair or foul?
Foul.
You're right, but let me... Honor Among Thieves is a useful reminder of something that's been forgotten in the age of dense film universes and ultraviolet action films.
What's that?
Lighthearted adventure movies like The Princess Bride remain the perfect vehicle for humor, romance, fights, and special effects.
That's fair about The Princess Bride.
When done... Have you seen The Princess Bride?
No. Better than this.
Can you imagine he does this podcast, Zach? He's never seen The Princess Bride.
Never seen The Princess Bride.
Never seen The Princess Bride.
Oh, my gosh. All right, that's pretty bad.
When done properly,
I have seen this movie.
When done properly, as Dungeons and Dragons is, they give audiences a full-bodied experience that's hard not to like.
Oh, yeah, that's foul. I've got one for you.
All right, give it to me.
This is Bob Chipman from Movie Bob Central.
You're making that up. Movie Bob Central?
I am not.
How many it's got to be the size of this podcast.
I don't know. Yeah.
Movie Bob Central.
So here's his description of the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
All right.
Guardians of the Galaxy meets Games of Thrones gets the job done.
Wow.
That's his description.
I can see how he would like pull from the Guardians kind of the charming vibe of Chris Pine. Game of Thrones That's a big... I mean, there were a couple of beheadings.
Yeah, but
in a very PG...
Oh, yeah.
Because we live in America, so, like, it's just a beheading. Okay, it's still PG. Like, it's good. Like,
it's fine.
Yeah. I think Game of Thrones is the wrong... Like, I could see mixing Guardians in. Mm-hmm. Like, because Chris Pine, like, they're kind of doing the same thing. Yeah. In these movies, but I don't think Game of Thrones is the other end.
Yeah, that's yeah. All
right, here's one for you from Wired.
Okay.
Just the title I thought you would love.
Oh, great.
The new Dungeons & Dragons movie plays like your best D&D game.
Well, that's true, because my best D&D games kind of suck, so... Oh, we never got to why I didn't like the original Dungeons & Dragons cartoon character showing up.
That's right. You really hated that game of Dungeons & Dragons, didn't you?
I didn't hate it, but I'm just not good at it.
Remember how long you sat just at a picnic bench reading a book?
It's because you were knocking down the library.
Go on.
But yeah, I wanted to like that moment, but...
Yeah.
I didn't like the way the characters were depicted. Like, their costumes were too much like the cartoon, as opposed to being kind of like the cartoon, but fitting into the world of the movie.
Interesting. I liked how they felt like they didn't quite fit in. Like, they almost come from a different multiverse.
And then it felt like there was... And then I just didn't like that we kept coming back to them.
Yeah, once would have been enough.
Yeah, like all we needed was the shot in the background that was playing. The fact that they kind of kept going with it, I was like, yeah, no, we get it, and you're not doing anything with them. But yeah, I didn't think it didn't work as well as it should have for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. So anyway, this did play like your best D&D game? Yes.
In that my D&D games are awful, yes.
Miserable. Okay, so they continue. In this vein, Honor Among Thieves almost could have gone even more meta than it did.
I would have liked that.
But it's probably wise that it didn't. You got to quit interrupting the fair and foul.
No, I don't.
Pop culture is already so layered with responses to anticipated analysis. It's refreshing to see a movie reveling in the simplicity of an exciting adventure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, is that fair or foul?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did find it to be a movie reveling in the simplicity of an exciting adventure?
No, that part's.
Did it revel for you?
No.
Was it simple?
No.
Was it exciting?
No.
Okay. All right. So that would be a foul.
Foul. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I've only got one more for you.
Oh, I've got a couple more.
Okay.
So G. Allan Johnson of the San Francisco Chronicle.
I do generally agree with Allan.
It's not spelled the right way, though.
Yeah, he's wrong then. Foul.
Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Feels like the filmmakers asked ChatGPT, write a Marvel movie except with Dungeons and Dragons characters. Seconds later, this spit out.
Well, if you think that ChatGPT could write a better movie than Ant-Man Quantumania, it's fair.
No.
Because this is better than Ant-Man Quantumania.
No, it's not.
It is.
No.
It is.
No.
It is.
No.
It is.
No. It fundamentally is not.
It's fundamentally better in almost every way.
That is ridiculous.
Ant-Man has almost nothing to offer.
Ant-Man offers a lot.
Like what?
An actually coherent script.
Is it coherent, though?
Yes.
There's a lot of nonsense in that, too.
But you can have nonsense and still have it be coherent.
All right, let me try this one on you. This is from, you know how I always like to go to reviews and then just take the first Google review, and I bring it no matter what it says? Mm-hmm. All right, this is from Nicholas Hooley.
Okay.
On Google. He calls it a masterpiece of fantasy. There are rare moments in cinema when a film manages to captivate and enthrall audiences. And Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, does just that. As a diehard D&D fan, I was blown away by the exceptional job the film did in creating an immersive world that would appeal to both newcomers and devoted enthusiasts.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Is I think the film, the film mostly appeals, to D&D aficionados because there's a lot of the logic of the film that depends on you knowing all of the history of Zastam, all of the history of Neverwinter, and all of things.
I don't know that.
I know.
And I'm not an expert, and I totally enjoyed it. So Nicholas does seem to say it appealed to him. He's a D&D diehard. And me. I'm a neophyte.
And it didn't appeal to me, and I am also a neophyte.
Well, you sort of brought...
Don't stop saying that I brought some kind of baggage to this film. I wanted to enjoy it.
Do you like Michelle Rodriguez?
I don't like Michelle Rodriguez.
Have you ever seen her anything you liked?
I liked Lost.
No, do you ever like her in something you saw?
No, because she's always the same.
Right. Just saying.
It's why she and Vin Diesel
are
perfectly paired up in the Fast Five movie because he's got slightly less range than her.
Do you think you're the one that hates Chris Pine?
No, that's pretty clearly established. It's you.
I don't think so.
I like Chris Pine just fine.
I just celebrated Chris Pine's most recent film.
Did you though?
Yeah, it's a perfectly fine movie.
No,
I haven't done Letterboxd yet because I don't know if you're snooping or not.
What's Letterboxd?
You ask this every week.
Yeah, I know. I keep forgetting.
It's the film website, where you can log the films you watch.
Oh, okay.
You were upset because I was watching old Fritz Lang films. It made you very mad.
I don't remember being mad.
Oh, you were definitely upset.
Oh, it's because
I watched Metropolis. You go, Metropolis.
Yeah, well, you could have watched Mandalorian.
Yeah, I could have.
We can't talk about Metropolis on the show.
We could.
I'd have to watch it.
Exactly. Such a brilliant movie. But so yeah, you can read my reviews. But I didn't put it up yet. I think this is like a 3-star movie.
Oh, come on.
Out of 5?
No.
3 is average.
No, this is a 2.
No, that's Ant-Man was a 2.
No, this is
was a 2.
I did like Justice Smith's character. I liked Simon.
Really?
Yeah. I liked Simon.
Why?
He at least had a little bit of charisma and charm to him as opposed to... I feel like the moment when he showed up, I was like, okay, the movie's getting better.
Huh.
Because I did not buy the...
Why do you think his character spoke to you so much?
I don't know. He just did. So, but yeah, I did not find the whole Pine or Edgin and Holga relationship. I didn't find that.
I thought it was
compelling
fine,
at all.
but I thought Chris Pine was really good.
Yeah, but I feel like he's having to work really hard.
Simon was good. Well, Holga would make you work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shapeshifter tiefling was maybe not the most dynamic character.
Yeah, I mean, she's maybe a little undercooked, but
yeah. And then there was a kid in it, which is always a demerit for me too.
But it's not a really young kid.
This is like a 3-star movie. It's not great. It's perfect. This is we have finally found a movie that's perfectly fine.
Right, which
people should go see it. Like it's fun.
I don't know.
It's a romp.
I can't really tell people to go see this.
Romp.
I didn't see. Yeah, I just.
It won't make you sigh out loud like Quantumania will.
It made me sigh. It made me sigh out loud.
No, did it?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Did you groan? I do a lot of groaning at MCs.
I did groan. Yeah, I did groan a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Guess we're just incompatible.
Yeah,
on this.
it was just not. Yeah, it just was not. It was just not a good
What's
film.
there to be said? I think Zach should go see it and be the tiebreaker. Zach seems like a D&D guy, so it would be a different point of view.
Well, yeah,
Zach?
I mean, I'd see it.
I recommend it.
I'd go to it.
I do not.
I think at the point that you're at, like, you're not a complete novice when it comes to D&D.
Oh, I'm very much a novice.
Well, you know a little bit, so that makes you mad because you want to know more. Like, for the MCU, you know all the backstory.
Yeah. No, you're right about the MCU.
The MCU, you know all the backstory. So then in the movies, you get pick up on the Easter eggs. So now that you know that they're Easter eggs in D&D, you're mad because you don't get them.
And I don't care, and I don't care
and you
for
don't care,
Easter eggs,
which
so
is
I
why
don't want them in Marvel. So I
but
didn't
see, the difference is that you can watch a Marvel movie and not get the Easter eggs and still enjoy it as a movie.
And you can do that with the D&D.
See, I couldn't, but I couldn't do. I couldn't do that with this movie.
Separate it. You couldn't separate the two.
Lots of people have written reviews about how you can.
There's a lot. I know. I don't understand. I do not understand how critics are in love with this movie.
Right. I think that
this movie is so fundamentally average that I don't understand.
I think sometimes a movie like catches a moment,
and I don't
know what the moment is.
That's the other thing. I don't either.
It's clearly caught a moment. I think don't throw anything at me. I think it's MCU fatigue. I think that for a lot of people, this is a movie you can go to see, and you don't have to have watched 35 films and 8 Disney series and ABC's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like you don't
have to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, that's true.
I don't know why you keep bringing that up.
I don't know, just because it was
no one ever had to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But you do know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like the MCU thing is so dense to go to see Ant-Man. Like there's just
but there. I mean, for me,
I'm not sure the movie carries.
There's a density in this film for me that keeps it from actually having a decent story. There's too much of the story that depends on you knowing the things coming from.
That I disagree with. I think the story functions in a very basic way without the background, and the background enriches it. It's like a Marvel movie for you. All the background and Easter eggs enrich.
Yeah, it didn't really enrich for me.
I think it's because
you don't know the Easter eggs.
Yeah. But I recognize them as Easter eggs.
But you're the person who wants to know. Like, you want to be in the know.
I don't know that I want to be in the know, but it just feels like so much of what I found unsatisfying about the world building in the film is because they relied on so much of people knowing
I feel like
the background, and I'm like, that's not good world building.
I feel like they weren't trying to really do that much world building, and that they had a bunch of Easter eggs in there for people who would be interested in them, but you didn't need the world built.
I don't know.
You did.
I think,
but
I
don't think I did.
Well, like when they go into the Underdark and they refer to this place as the Hanging City, I'm like, this isn't a city. Like, it's barely a few rocks hanging around.
They live in like this weird medieval style.
I know, but it's not a city. It's literally it's more like a dungeon or a cavern or something. I'm like, this isn't even a city. Why are we calling this a city?
This is a really weird thing to be hung up on in a movie. Like
understanding the nature of the world of the movie?
They're calling it a city, and it's not a.
It's not a city. Yeah, it makes no sense.
It's just a weird thing to get hung up on.
Except I'm like looking at it, I'm like, it's a few rocks hanging from midair. Like, how is this a city? Like, it makes no sense.
It could be that literalists will not find this movie fulfilling.
I don't think I'm a literalist.
Well, in this case, I think you are.
Well, they called it a hanging city, and I'm like, I don't see any city.
What is a city literally?
What?
Well, that's the point. Like, it's not a city.
No, it's just a bunch of rocks.
Would you say it's literally not a city?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And they call it a city. It makes no sense.
I was trying to say, for God's sake.
Like, I'm sure there's a reason why it's a city or whatever, but I'm like, when presented in the film, I don't understand it.
Who cares?
Because I don't understand it.
Who cares?
I don't understand it.
Who cares?
I care.
Well, you do.
I can't enjoy the movie that I don't understand significant parts of the world.
You think you have to know where the name Hanging City comes from?
Yeah, I need that name to make sense. Just like I need it when he says, "Oh, Lord of Neverwinter." I'm like, I don't know what that is at this point in the film.
But when they go off in a Marvel universe film to nowhere, it's like, well, that's easy to access.
Well, first off, they actually do explain. They're like, "Oh, it's the floating head of a celestial."
Well, then what's a celestial?
Thank you.
Giant cosmic space being.
And where do they come from?
We don't need to know that. They're just there.
We don't. So why don't we need to know that?
I don't understand it.
I don't understand the world.
Like they're literally called a celestial.
What are they? Another
they're
star?
Not celestial.
Just a,
What's up with that? It's like a bad Seinfeld bit.
What's more?
What's up with those?
I don't know what's more offensive right now: the voice or like the physical motions that you're making. It's hurtful.
I think it had stuff for everybody. That's why people liked it.
I guess.
I think so. It's like a real D&D game, like you guys said, because you can have a new player jump in who knows nothing about it,
and there were no dice
and enjoy
involved.
it. And it's also for the hardcore people who know the lore of everything, that they have the nuggets that keep them.
See, for me, it depended too much on the lore for me.
But we can say that for certain people, it's just not going to fit.
Yeah.
For other people, it's like a 90, which is ridiculous.
Thank you.
It's a perfectly fine movie.
The 2.5.
It's a step better. Well, maybe I'll downgrade it to 2.5, but it's a step better than Shazam. It just is. Talk about a film that's loaded with all this backstory.
It's probably about the same
that
for
you
me with
have
Shazam.
to know.
What do you have to know for Shazam?
All the mythological stuff.
What mythological stuff?
All the stuff they're researching in the library. All the Shazam stuff. It's all like in mythological stuff. But you know that stuff, so it's okay.
What mythological? You mean the stuff that they're researching in the library that they're finding out
as
we find out about it?
All grounded in mythology. It's surrounded by mythology.
Yeah, but people know mythology.
Like Solo Man.
What? Solomon. Solomon.
I know it's Solomon, but that was the joke in the film, as you will recall. I'm just saying, clearly not a film for Patrick and literalists.
Okay, see, you're
not you, but other people who are literalists will not enjoy this.
Yeah, just didn't care for the film.
Well,
wanted to have a nice standalone adventure film.
You feel like it didn't execute?
It just I felt
like
it
did. It felt like a breath of fresh air to me. I would not go see it again. Mm-hmm. But it was I won't go see Ant-Man again.
Well, that's clear.
For God's sake. Or Shazam.
Yeah.
Even if it's on TNT.
I'm not even sure I've seen Shazam when it's on TV.
Wow. Yeah, it says something about the first Shazam was not that bad.
It's fine, yeah.
It was better than Ant-Man.
No. Yeah.
That's right, it's Marvel. So
I'd say Ant-Man's better.
Pick a team. So
I like Wonder Woman.
So
that was a good movie.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one was good.
How about the second one?
Well, the second one needed another pass through with someone else to.
Yeah, it needed some work.
Needed some work on that script.
Definitely needed some work. We agree on that one. That one needed some writing work. Mm-hmm. Dungeons and Dragons were split.
Yeah, I just didn't.
It's okay to be split, right?
Well, we've been split most of the time lately.
We're kind of like we're establishing a model for all of America where we can agree to disagree agreeably.
That last part.
So what's up for next week? We should pitch next week, right?
Well, we probably need to figure out what next week is before
next
we pitch
week
it.
will be a surprise.
Yes.
You don't know what's coming.
We don't know what next...
We totally know what's coming.
Though there was something that's... Oh, I know what next week is.
What's that?
We got to go see the next big movie coming out.
What's that?
Air.
No, we're not doing Air.
Oh, come on. We got to do Air.
The plucky underdog story of Nike.
I know. Think how much you'll hate the film.
I do get to bring back my favorite line, which was Air 2. Child labor.
Oh, yeah. Child labor boogaloo. So, yes, find out next week.
It might be Air.
With us.
If we're lucky.
What we're talking about.
All right.